am live. I'm reading The Last Barrier, a Sufi journey by Reshad Feilds. This is his time in Turkey, where he is with his teacher Hamid, and he is researching the dervishes, which really interest him. And we are in chapter 10 here. I've already done a reading, 2 in fact, and I'll repeat the last bit from the previous reading, where he has a conversation with Didi, who is an old man who is a dervish. If you are quiet and in a state of prayer when you turn, offering everything of yourself to God, then, when your body is spinning, there is a completely still point in the center. In the knowledge that there is only Him, you can experience the universe turning around that center. When you turn, all the stars and the planets and the endless universes turn around that still point. The heavens respond and all the invisible kingdoms join in the dance. Jesus said, "Unless you dance, you know not what cometh to pass." That is why we turn. But the world does not understand. They think we turn in order to go into some sort of trance. It is true that sometimes we do go into that state you call ecstasy, but that is only when we know and experience at the same time. We do not turn for ourselves. After that, I practiced turning every day in the tiny room where we talked, and gradually I came to understand what Didi had told me about the turn. Didi's son was away, and so it was not the proper time to practice all he had taught me. Rather, it was time to just be, to let life unfold in a gentle way. One day slipped into another, naturally, as slowly it seemed as the turn of the seasons. Little by little, the shock of the past weeks was fading, and the confusion I had felt, almost like a wound, was beginning to heal. I would have liked to stay there for a long time, just sitting and learning with this old man. But slowly I began to feel that in staying there, I was denying something. Sooner or later I must return to Hamid. Who had told me just before I left Istanbul that he would wait for me back in Side. It was becoming increasingly clear that this stage of the journey was nearly over. I was frightened about returning to Side, where I had experienced so much pain. The contrast in being with Didi and the easy daily routine of his household made my memories of Side seem raw and painful by comparison. One morning when I awoke at dawn, I found that my decision had been made. After the morning prayer and breakfast, I asked Didi if I might speak with him. Farid had gone away for a few days, but I felt it was important that I asked Didi's permission to leave. He had grown so fond of me that I felt I was almost a member of his family, and my respect for him was so great that I did not want to do anything that might offend him. I explained in a mixture of sign language and the few words of Turkish I had picked up that I felt that the time was right for me to go back to Sidi, to be with Hamid. At first he did not understand, and then he realized that we needed a translator. Signaling that I was to remain in the house, he put on his coat and hat and set off down the street. After a few moments he returned with a man in his 40s who spoke fluent English. After coffee and the usual exchange, I asked him to ask Didi if he would give me permission to return to Hamid. Didi listened carefully to my words and then to the translation. Then, taking both my hands as he had done that first day, he kissed them and raised them to his forehead. Go with God and with the blessing of Mevlana, and know that your home is here always. His eyes were filled with tears. For a little while we sat in silence. Then he spoke again to the translator. Didi says he is sorry that you are going, but he knows that one day you will return. He says that it is your duty to go back to your teacher, whom he does not know, but who must be one of those who are seldom seen. He asks that you take his salams to Hamid. and his thanks for sending you to Konya. But it was not he who sent me here, I interrupted. It was the old man in Istanbul. Yes, but it was Hamid who took you to the old man, whom Didi knows, and so it is to Hamid that thanks are due. Didi also said that you are never to forget that there is only one being, only Allah, and so in reality all our thanks are to him. He said that he wishes to give you something. Will you accept it? I did not know what to say. Sometimes it is very difficult to receive, and I was afraid that Didi was going to give me something that he owned, some precious possession. But I must accept it. I said that I would be greatly honored. Didi said that he wishes you a very humble gift and a message to go with it. He says that the one without the other is no good. Leaning forward in his chair, the old man picked up an engraved brass box from the table and opened it carefully. He took out a beautifully shaped silver bottle with a sprinkler at the top, typical of the rose water containers found throughout the Middle East. But this one was especially exquisite, and he handed it to me with both hands, without taking his eyes from my face. Didi says that this is for rose water, the essence of the rose. He says that he feels you will understand, and he hopes that you will be able to give the rose water to your friends. His message to you is this: if you go out into the garden and can tread on a thorn, always remember to say thank you. The thorn may hurt, but it is given to you in the same way that you are given attar of roses. I was too moved to say anything except to thank him. Didi went on. The essence of the rose is released only when the rose bush has been pruned, and the bud has opened into the bloom. He says to tell you that the split second between the bud and the rose is known only to those who become roses. I left Didi's house the next day. It was better that I go quickly. Early in the morning we went to the mosque where Didi prayed, and then on to Mevlana's tomb for the last time. He was very quiet, deeply moved and sad, and our movements as we toured the museum took on a different meaning. As usual, we walked out of the building backwards, bowing as we crossed the threshold. Then, having collected our shoes and the suitcase that I had taken to the museum, he hailed a taxi and we drove to the bus station. Farid was there to see me off, with a big basket of fruit in his hand. And Didi's wife arrived with a beautifully wrapped parcel of honey cakes and sugared almonds. Salam alaikum, he called as I boarded the bus, and waved to him from the top of the steps. I spoke to Farid, who added, "Don't forget, your home is here." As the bus moved off, Farid shouted, "Didi says, don't forget to take the rose water to the west." And then we had turned the corner and were on the long road south. That's the end of chapter 10. Almost at the end.